Hi, you've reached Feather and Veil. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 9 entitled The Fire, the Drum, and the Spirit, a Near-Death Return. Let's begin. By 2010, it had been 4 years since I was forced to leave nursing. My body had been through so much. Years of high-dose intravenous corticosteroids and several different immunomodulators had left me physically and emotionally worn. I had a port placed in my left chest wall in 2007 just to accommodate the frequencies of medications. Then one day came the dizziness. I was so off balance that I went to the hospital. They kept me for a couple days, did minimal testing, and diagnosed me with something called benign proximal positional vertigo. Basically, crystals in the ear were not where they were supposed to be, and I didn't get treated for it. They didn't fix it. I was discharged with a blood pressure of 185/98, which had me a little concerned, but they didn't seem to think much of it, and I was still having dizzy episodes. 2 days later, I was sitting at home on the couch when the dizziness came again, hard. Then everything went black. I don't remember much after that, just flashes. I remember being loaded into the ambulance. I remember seeing somebody with a pen light looking in my eyes. I remember I woke up briefly in ICU, somebody telling me that they think I had a stroke. I came to during the helicopter ride to the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and I could feel tightness across the top half of my body, and I was trying to wiggle a little bit, but I couldn't move, and then I was out again. I came to again, briefly, hearing my mother scream my name. And what came next was unlike anything I've ever experienced. Well, this time there was no light, there was no glowing field, there was no tree, there was no tunnel, it was just darkness, endless, featureless blackness. I was aware of myself floating, looking for some type of exit somewhere, spinning, and then I saw it, a singular pinpoint color of reddish orange light. As soon as I saw it, I'm now engulfed in it. Flames. Flames rising up, surrounding me, lapping my arms, watching my skin burn, or so I thought. I began screaming in agony and pain. I was on fire. Oh my God, I'm burning alive. I'm on fire. But wait a minute. I noticed something was wrong. I wasn't really in pain. I noticed that I wasn't really burning. Took another second. I wasn't even hot. Was this supposed to be hell, I thought? I was so fearful beyond any fear I had ever known. Suddenly, a realization occurred. I stopped screaming, and I immediately knew to surrender. I said, God, if this is your will, then so be it. And in that moment, everything changed. The flame shrank away from the darkness. I was still floating, but now I could see smoke below me. I could feel a force downward through the smoke, like something was pulling me downward. As I'm coming down through the smoke, I could see everything was moving fast by me like I was in a cone-shaped tunnel. Okay? As I'm continuing to go down, 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 I could see coming into focus another fire. I can also hear drumming very rhythmically, slowly, with also a sound, a rhythmic sound, tones, syllables rising and falling. Ay, 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 ay. Through the smoke, the image started to sharpen. There was an indigenous man by the fire. His long black hair shimmered in the glow. His face was lit by the flickering light, and his eyes reflected the fire. So much so, they seemed to burn themselves. His expression was calm and focused. He held his gaze to the flames, and I was right in the middle of those flames. He looked like he held all the answers. He didn't seem old, but he didn't seem young either. His energy felt ancient, timeless. His body was lean and strong. His skin was beaded with sweat that glistened from the fire. A drum, a round drum, sat down beside the fire. And it looks like he's sitting cross-legged, and then it also looked like he had the drum between his feet leaning forward. So it was like, anyway, the knees were out like at a V regardless. Okay? As I notice him, I can see that he has a wooden beater in his hand with a round end that's encased in a dark color, like brown or black. The drum hoop that surrounded it was plain, and the drum itself that was pulled across the frame was a darkened leather, kind of orangish black. Now, it did look like there was an image at one point on this drum, but it had faded and it was worn, and it looked like either a bison or a buck deer. I could tell that there was a horn, but I couldn't make out exactly what it was. Okay? As I began descending more and more directly in front of him, his gaze didn't waver. He kept singing and kept drumming as I floated right in front of his eyes. I stared at him. "Who are you?" I asked, but not out loud. The question was felt, not spoken. He did respond with words. "I am me," staring into the flame. "Then who am I asked. "You are me," he said. I paused, trying to understand, watching him, staring into the fire, feeling like he was looking into my soul. "You are me, I am you, we are one," he said. That was it. I don't know how long I stayed there. I don't know when or how I left, but when I woke up, I was told that I had a brainstem bleed, something doctors at UPMC had diagnosed after I was there a couple of days. They said I had up to a 20% chance of survival. My autonomic nervous system had been severely compromised. I had been placed on a ventilator. They tried to take me off once, but that didn't work, and I had to be placed back on it. And when I was placed back on it, I was given the paralytic before I was given the other one to knock your ass out. You want to talk about something scared? When I came to and was able to talk, whoo, I was hot. That's scary. Anyway, this time while I was under, I experienced nothing. No flames, no visions, just a feeling that I needed to rest. I think that's called an induced coma. Yeah. So when I finally came out of it, the world was a blur of rehab rooms and clinical goals. I couldn't swallow. I had a struggle to form sentences. My blood pressure kept skyrocketing to dangerously high levels. One reading was 240 over 138. I was 38 years old, sitting in a hospital cafeteria with elderly stroke patients. All of us wearing these horrific oversized bibs, learning how to eat without choking. Some couldn't hold their utensils, while others stared blankly at their trays. Food dribbled down faces and caregivers smiled and wiped it away. I remember having to learn every time I swallowed, tried to swallow, put my chin to my chest, right? And take slowly. And I still get choked up really easy. I still have a hard time swallowing food sometimes, especially water. I choke on water like that. I also worked with physical therapists to rebuild my strength. One day, without warning, I crashed. I collapsed in the rehab room, weight room, blacked out cold. When I came to, I was in bed. A nurse brought the doctor. He actually took the blood pressure himself manually. Like, not many doctors do that. Yep, he said with a smile. Blood pressure meds finally kicked in. I went home just before Christmas. And for weeks after that, all I could do, even in rehab, all I could do was draw this indigenous man. Draw his face, his eyes, his hair, the drum, the beater, the colors, the message. You are me, I am you, we are one. I don't know exactly who he was, but maybe he was a spirit guide. Maybe he was part of me all along. All I know is that he met me in the fire and helped me pull through it. And that change continued. That fire burned from within, from deep within my energetic self, soul, and body, to transform my will into action. Somewhere in the space between life and death, I met the fire not as punishment, but as purification. Few terrifying moments I thought I'd descended into hell. That fear was real, visceral, and deeply rooted in what I was taught about sin, suffering, and judgment. But as I stood in the flames and felt no pain, something ancient within me stirred. There was no punishment, period, only presence. What I saw in that fire, the drum, the man, the message, changed the entire framework of how I saw my own soul. You are me, I am you, we are one. These are not just spoken words. They were unspoken truth that bypassed every doctrine and went straight to the core of my being. It was the first time I understood that true unity meant not just with the spiritual God, but with all living things, all creation, all time. I emerged from that experience different, slower, softer in some ways, not weak but deeply aware. I still carry physical scars from the bleed, yes, but I also carry spiritual clarity. The man in the fire weren't just a vision, he was a mirror, a reminder that I wasn't broken, that here I was remembering again. During my recovery, I drew him over and over again, the fire, the drum, the way his eyes shimmered with purpose. It was an obsession. It was reverence. And perhaps also survival. He had seen through me, and I couldn't let him go. I didn't want to. I still don't fully understand the meaning of it all, but I know longer need to analyze every thread. I live now with trust, not in answers, but in deep knowing. I've seen what's on the other side of fear, at least for me. And it wasn't the fire meant to destroy, it was fire meant to awaken. And I was awake. I awoke. The energetic presence of that man, his stillness, the depth, the way his vibration wrapped around me without any words, marked something in me I couldn't ignore. It felt like standing in the middle of a frequency, like being tuned in to something higher that had always been there. But I've never fully accessed it before, due to fear. That encounter became a turning point that led me to learn energy work. I needed to understand what happened to me, not just spiritually, but physically, scientifically. That's when I found Reiki. I studied and completed Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, never going on to become a master, but learning enough to begin healing my own body. The more I learned about energy, the more it made sense, not just spiritually, but practically. Frequency, vibration, healing, it all connects. That fire had opened a door, and energy work became the path I walked through it. I met the fire, I met the drum, I met myself. I hope you enjoyed Chapter 9. It's windy here in Texas today. Please be gentle with your soul. Walk in kindness and always trust in your light. Until next time, bye!